Hey folks, my name is Mo Amir and this is VANCOLOUR, British Columbia's bona fide culture and politics TV talk show. Happy Halloween! We've got a night of the living guests for you. What is the worst ghoul haunting the city of Vancouver? Even worse than a Vancouver vampire. Plus, should we really be reviving the ghosts of dead celebrities so they can keep us entertained beyond the grave? Fiona Forbes will give us her report, but first, horror is kind of hot right now. At a time when the box office is flatlining, fear is keeping it alive. But why? And what does that say about our culture? Here to explain, a producer for Oddfellows Pictures based right here in Vancouver. He was behind a string of high-profile horror hits, including Longlegs, The Monkey, Dangerous Animals, and the 2019 remake of Child's Play. The original, by the way, scarred me for life. He is Chris Ferguson. Chris, what an honor. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I feel like horror is going through a bit of a renaissance. Am I off base or is that actually happening?
Horror is definitely going through a renaissance right now. I think the only things that are really working now are Marvel movies, kids shows, and horror movies.
Why horror and why now? I feel like there's already so much in the world to be afraid of and to worry about. So why now?
I don't know what that is. I think about it a lot because like, my other job is I am on the board at OPS, the Overdose Prevention Society in Vancouver, and the people we work with there are the biggest horror fans I have ever met. Every time we put a movie out, we get a bus of people and we all go down and watch our latest horror movie. And
despite seeing a lot of grim realities of urban living,
the grimmest realities that anyone in Vancouver deals with. So, and they're the biggest, most hardcore horror fans. When I need like great critical response to what we've done, it's the gang we work with there. So
yeah. What does it say about our culture though? Like, why do we seek out horror films?
I think because you'd think that people would want to sort of counter program a tough life or a tough news cycle, but it seems to be the other way. I think that maybe horror gives you that sort of tension and release in the movie experience, and that might translate to how you live your everyday life.
Is there a particular type of horror film that is really connecting with audiences right now in this moment?
It's funny. I think the thing that people talk about is the sketch to horror pipeline. So you've got, it started with Jordan Peele a long time ago, but now you've got Zach Kreger, the Philippou brothers. I went and saw a movie called Obsession at TIFF that was Curry Barker who directed it. So I think there's this real renaissance of comedy people getting dark and doing horror.
What's the relationship between comedy and horror? Is it like the unexpected kind of gag?
I think it's a similar structure of building tension, building a question in the audience's mind, and then paying it off. And I think I'm going to misquote them, but somebody said the difference between a comedy and a horror is the score.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like horror has a lot more gore and the stakes seem to be higher than any comedy.
It's a different punchline.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing where you build the anticipation of a joke or the anticipation of a kill, and then you pay it off.
And horror is also tapping into a lot of nostalgia as well. I mean, you did the remake of Child's Play.
Yeah.
Which, thank you. I mean, new nightmares for me. Yeah. But, you know, we're also tapping into some nostalgia.
Yeah, I think that it's part of it's a communal experience too. Like people are going to see horror in a theater, and I think that's what we did as kids. Like I went to see movies in theaters, and I think it just brings you back to that place.
Yeah. When we're making horror films, are they generally on a lower budget than say a Marvel movie? Because I know obviously those are very expensive to make. So are film studios like yours looking at sort of the cost of like, hey, we can get this off the ground with not as much if we were to do another type of project?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, kids movies are working, Marvel movies are working, and horror movies are working. I can't afford to do kids movies or Marvel movies. So as an independent Vancouver producer, that's the arena I can play in. And it's exciting because you can make movies at a price point, but people want to come pour into theaters all over the world to see it.
Yeah.
You can't really do that in other genres.
Is there a part of you that enjoys the fact that some of your movies like really scare people and will give people nightmares?
I enjoy the fact that people are engaged. I mean, whatever it is, like I made a romantic sci-fi movie called Little Fish that I love, and people talk about it to this day, and that gets me as much excitement. But it's anything that people sort of live with and engage with and keep thinking about after they leave the theater.
Yeah. And I feel like, I guess similar to comedies horror does invoke a very visceral response, right? So it's not laughter, but it could be actual terror, right? Like, so you're seeing that feedback as if you're watching people watch in a theater, you're seeing that feedback in real time, right?
Yeah, the theater experience of watching a horror movie or a comedy just feels different than other kinds of movies. Like it's something to sit in a room with 300 people and have everybody jump out of their seat.
Well, that's a great endorsement for people to go out to the theaters and support, doesn't have to be the big chains, but local theaters that play movies here in Vancouver or throughout BC.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies, I am going to stay in on Halloween.
Okay.
What movies would you recommend for me to either go out to see in the theater or perhaps go see at home?
Yeah, well, I would recommend my movie Dangerous Animals.
Okay.
Also, if we're sticking to Vancouver-based things, Dangerous Animals was written by a Vancouver-based writer, Nick Lepard, painter turned writer, Nick Lepard, and went to the Cannes Film Festival and got an amazing response. So I'd check that one out.
Yeah.
And then if you can wait a little bit, I'd go see Keeper in theaters on November 14th.
Okay.
And written by Nick, also shot in Vancouver.
And also produced by Chris Ferguson.
And also produced by Chris Ferguson.
That's awesome. Chris, I appreciate this. Giving us some insights about the horror film industry, which clearly seems to be on a roll these days. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Folks, a producer for Oddfellows Pictures. His movies are a terrifyingly good time. That was Chris Ferguson. Now, after some business, we're reviving dead celebrities so they can keep us entertained beyond the grave. Sounds like the next Oddfellows Pictures plotline, but it's real life. We'll get into it up next.